Welcome to the Swan Hockey Live podcast, presented by the Hockey Swans Club. I am your host, Eric Swanick. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. The Swan Hockey Live podcast is like nothing else you've ever experienced. There's nothing else like it in the world. We have incorporated blockchain technology and are making this a completely interactive and immersive experience for all of us. No one is doing what we're doing. We're happy to be doing it first and happy you are all part of it. It's only getting bigger and only getting stronger. Don't forget to join the Swan Hockey Discord server to stay connected with each other and for support for this new endeavor. Here's how the Swan Hockey Live podcast works. Live interaction. Join the conversation, ask your questions, and interact in the chat feature on YouTube, Facebook, or in the live podcast channel of the Swan Hockey Discord server. Interaction through Scout Central. Many of our guests are on Scout Central, and we've assigned many of them a Scout Central player tag. We give these tags out during the show. If you like what a guest has to say and want to connect with them, add their respective Scout Central player tag to your player profile. You can find more information about Scout Central at www.swanhockey.com. Podcast merch item interaction. Swan Hockey has released a special Swan Hockey Live podcast hoodie that you can find in Merch Central. This item is equipped with one of our merch tags. Scan the tag with your smartphone and receive special content or even gifts that center around the Swan Hockey Live podcast. This hoodie has bridged digital with physical. We can now interact through your physical item. More information on merch tags and how to scan them can be found at www.swanhockey.com. Performance Pass 2024 interaction. Performance Pass is our free rewards beta program, giving you more for the things you're already doing. You can claim 500 points simply for watching tonight's podcast live. After the podcast, log into your Performance Pass and claim the points using the point unlock code that will be given out during tonight's show. Accumulated points can be used to claim rewards. When a reward is claimed, it'll be airdropped right into your digital wallet. Rewards are either collectible or redeemable, and since this is powered by the Polygon blockchain, you own your rewards. You can collect/redeem them or simply sell them if you do not want or will not use them. Rewards can be redeemed at swanhockey.io. For a VIP experience to the Swan Hockey Live podcast, consider joining the Hockey Swans Club. This club of the future uses blockchain technology to make it truly one of a kind. A limited number of Hockey Swans will be available. Once they unfreeze, they will reveal their distinct, unique traits. No two Hockey Swans are the same, but all come with a base of utility and perks. Some of the rare Hockey Swans will come with rare perks. Connect your wallet to swanhockey.io and link your email now to be eligible for the pre-sale as well as the Etherskate giveaway. We have 100 pairs of Etherskates that we will be airdropping for free. If you're lucky enough to receive a pair, you will be able to start using some of the utility now before the Hockey Swans come out. Think of it as like the OG crew. And now, without further ado, Swan Hockey Live.
The season's upon us, it's that time of year. Brandy and eggnog, there's plenty of cheer. There's lights on the trees and there's wreaths to be hung. There's mischief and mayhem and songs to be sung. There's bells and there's holly, the kids are gung-ho. True love finds a kiss beneath fresh mistletoe. Some families are messed up while others are fine. If you think yours is crazy, well, you should see mine.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Swan Hockey Live, the Friendsgiving special. We are joined by Andrew Serpico, the Assistant Director of U.S. Scouting for Neutral Zone, and Bill Underwood, Scout for the Kitchener Rangers in the Ontario Hockey League. Gentlemen, what's going on?
How are ya?
Doing great. Doing great. What's going on, Bill? How are you?
Oh, hanging in there. How about you guys?
Yep, same.
Living in the fast lane today.
Living in the fast lane. Yeah, no, I'm excited for this one. Before we start, guys, so for this episode, we're going to be doing our normal point unlock code for Performance Pass, but then we're also giving away, there's going to be a free airdrop for, if you're joining us tonight and you're spending the evening with us tonight on this podcast, you'll be able to go into Performance Pass and claim a Friendsgiving token, and that's going to serve, it's almost going to serve as like a proof of attendance. So think of it this way: when you go to a concert or you go to a hockey game or whatever, you get a ticket stub and you put it on your refrigerator or you throw it in a shoebox or on your dresser. This is almost a digital version of that. So think of it like that. It'll live in your blockchain wallet, and there's just a lot that we could do with this. In the future, if we decide that we want to do something where we're, giving something to everybody that was in attendance or something like that, we could do it all through the token. So if you're interested in the Web3 experience and the Web3 side of this, you'll be able to claim that. You'll be able to claim that token, and if you ever don't want it, you could sell it. So, but let's get into it, guys. Kind of lot to talk about. At the same time, we're just kind of going this episode. Nothing really too much planned. We want to hear from you guys, so let us know where you're tuning in from. Join the conversation, ask questions, and let's.
I got a question right out of the gate. Let's just hit this right on the head. I have a question out of the gates. Why does Team USA have 10 shots through 2 periods? As a team that's played together all year, essentially, they are getting worked.
It's crazy. Now. I'm looking at it now. So anybody. So what Andrew is referring to is the CHL against the NTDP, the CHL top prospects versus NTDP in leading up to the NHL draft for this year. The US NTDP is on paper kind of getting smacked.
They can't win a face-off. They have no shots on net. They are getting absolutely tortured in every aspect of this game.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, it's 4-0 CHL right now with almost 17 minutes left in the third period. Shots are 23-10 in favor of CHL. CHL's 1 for 2 on the power play. NTDP is over 3 on the power play. It's interesting.
So, I mean, Team USA's played together essentially all year. I think they have a couple guys from the USHL that are playing on the team for this tournament. The Canadians, well, the CHL, because there is an American on the team. These kids aren't really playing together, but they have like 10 or 11 A-rated prospects in Central Scouting. So they are just dominating every aspect of this game. They haven't played together. They don't know anything about each other. They don't practice together, and they are in total control of this. Could be a bad
more
day.
to the point. It's hard to say a bad day when it's like this. This is a bad day is one thing. This is a little bit more than a bad day, especially because these guys are drawn. It's not like they're even from like the old Soviet teams used to have a line come from about 12 players who come from Central Red Army, a line or two, a line from Dynamo, maybe one from Spartak. That's nothing like that this year. There's absolutely no chemistry whatsoever.
I've just seen highlights of the first 2 periods, and Team USA barely touches the puck. I'm watching the third period right now, kind of like taking a peek at it, and it's the same as the first 2 periods. That they're not doing. They can't generate any offense. Canada's just Canada team. The CHL prospects look like they've been playing together all year. Team USA looks like the opposite.
And they're very tentative. Most of their puck control is not in the offensive zone. They have a little bit breaking out, but that's about it. It's when they have open ice, they break out, but that's about all.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I honestly, I kind of expected, I didn't expect it to be like this. I figured, like US is, a team. They play together. You would think that, the structure and the systems and everything would be hard for the CHL to kind of, I don't want to say hard to keep up with, but you would think that it's like, I thought the CHL was going to a little bit have their work cut out for them. Not that I thought that they were going to get killed or anything or lose necessarily, but I thought that it was going to be like a little bit of not deer in headlights, but at least a little bit all right, we got to figure this out. What's going on, weather the storm, pick up on their systems, what they're doing.
I expected the play style to be different than what it's looking like, right? Opposite of what it's looking right now. I felt like the US was going to have a majority of the puck control the place to play, come out really hot because, like I said, they play together all the time. They have those systems, they have that structure, put the CHL on their heels, and it's been the opposite.
Whose game are they playing, right? Obviously the U.S. style of play is different than the Canadian style of play. I'm not watching the game right now, but from what you're seeing, who's taking control? Which game are they playing right now?
1,000% the Canadian style of play.
Yeah. Okay.
Dictated. It's again, I sort of go back to the old Soviet days when they had their teams together and there's a lot of chemistry. Normally they might have a little hiccup early, but then they'd sort of take over the pace and and after a while you might figure them out, but it would take normally more than one game to figure them out. And, and like I say, they generally in those days, you could definitely see the pickup team versus the non-pickup team. Even going back to when they had the All-Star game against the Soviets, the Challenge Cup, it was the same thing. They were a team, the NHL All-Stars, tremendously talented, but there's no chemistry whatsoever.
Yeah. I wonder if, maybe they did weather the storm. If you look at the first period shots were 12-7 in favor of the CHL. And it was 1-0 after the first in favor of the CHL. Maybe that was weathering the storm, right? Then the second period shots were 9-3 CHL, and the second period score was 3-0 for a total of 4-0.
Obviously, it goes the other way around, though. The team that has a chemistry takes over. They just sort of, eventually take over. And just I think about Team Canada versus Russia, 1972. The Russians just took over and won 7-3. They started out a little bit slow, the NHL on a little bit of awe, and the building had a little bit of awe. But after that, they just took control.
I have a serious question. I felt like the U.S. had more risk in this type of game, but another showing like this tomorrow, what does that mean? What does that mean for the program? That's got to be it's a terrible look if you go back-to-back games where you get absolutely dominated, right? You're the top players in the country and you have two showings like this. That's got to be a bad look for the program, especially with the CHL NCAA situation.
They'll be announcing to the fans on the way out, thank you for attending the last annual CHL NCDC Top Prospects game.
I think the program will survive because they, it's still a stepping stone to the national team. It's still a developmental thing. And, you'll still, and especially those New England and Minnesota kids are still going to flock there. They just stay at home. So, granted they're playing in Michigan, but they don't leave the United States. I
think the program will start to lose a decent amount of guys, maybe outside that Minnesota area, right? Because up until a couple weeks ago, the program played in the best league in the world for college development. Now they don't, right? So if a player wants to play in the best league in the world, that could bring him to college. It's no longer the league that the NTDP plays in. So do you think that some of these, quote unquote, best kids in America are going to start to go play in the best league in North America instead of choosing the program?
The kids in Detroit definitely will, and Chicago, but that's going to happen anyway. Texas maybe, but because they're not getting too much. WHL has never penetrated Texas much. You might Mid-Atlantic on the east here, like New York and Mid-Atlantic, collaterally, but I think still so much of that team is New England and Minnesota. And those guys, I don't see those guys much. The only way you might have them convinced to go the other route in New England is if you put a Quebec League team in Boston, and it succeeded, which is debatable if it ever succeed. And that had to be the Boston metro area. No, and the West, I just don't see happening under any circumstances. The Minnesota kids grew up on high school hockey, and Gophers hockey, and look, playing for the Gophers is a bigger deal in Minnesota than it is playing for the Wild. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean,
real quick, back to that Texas comment from Bill there. There is a kid from Texas on the CHL prospects who played for the Stars Elite growing up, and now he's in WHL, but he's an American. He's Vern. I'm 99% sure he's Vern Fiddler's kid, but he's an A-rated prospect. But he jumped up there. That Stars 07 team was pretty ridiculous. I think there's another one or two kids on NCDP from it, but he was drafted like third maybe in the U.S. draft for WHL, and I guess he ended up going there, and he's not a little spit in the face. He's wearing a letter on the CHL prospects. He's got an A on his jersey instead of playing for the Americans. So I respect the game.
Yeah, they get a trickle of guys coming from Texas, but there are a lot of Texas guys they missed on. It's not like California where they do really well in California. The WHL does.
Yeah. It'll be so interesting to see like what to consent. If anybody has more luck recruiting. I mean, I'm assuming they'll have. I'm assuming everyone's gonna have more luck recruiting. I'm assuming, but like some of those like quote unquote desolate areas, it'll seem. It'll be interesting to see if those like pick up too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see like what kids will respond, and of course the national team can only take a very few guys as it is, and in the end, I think there'll be just like anything else, there'll be an impact on it, but it's not going to be the traumatic impact some people think. And like this series, it certainly won't help them. But remember, some of these guys end up going to CHL anyway off the national team, and that'll be their next stop.
Yeah, and Bill, do you, and I mean, obviously don't give away anything that Kitchener's doing, but like, do you see or hear anything around the league with teams saying like, hey, like, you know what, we do got to beef up our scouting now, like, being that this is going to be more appealing to more players, some of these areas that we might only cover a couple times a year, we need to get there a few times a year now, like we gotta.
5-0. 5-0. 5-0.
5-0.
Yep. Goal. By the way, for the record, this game could be 9-0. The goalie. I rarely say this. The goalie's playing lights out. Has made some huge saves, and it could be 9-0 though.
Really?
And he just ended up in the net himself.
Yeah. Like he just made a ridiculous backdoor save. Like I don't even understand how he got a piece of it, and then just rebound goal.
Where are they playing this? Oh, Canada Life Place.
They're both up there. Oshawa in London, maybe.
How many games are they playing? 2?
2, yeah.
Well, sorry. To answer the question about the scouting, we already do have guys down here like myself.
Right.
So, I mean, it's covered. I can't speak as much.
Do you anticipate or see the coverage like even more? Like maybe
again,
we got to get another guy in this area, or we got to get these games, that might be covered X amount of times a year. Now we got to get them covered Y amount of times a year because there's more, probable candidates for the league now.
Well, remember, go on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. That was it.
I was going to say is the teams already can cover Detroit very well right across the river. And that's where a lot of teams come through. So Detroit's already blanketed. So is Chicago. The Mid-Atlantic, we only have so much talent. So, and again, our teams tend to go up and play in Buffalo or Detroit. So the guys that are important to see from around here, you're going to see. So do I expect a huge expansion of scouting and expenditure? Probably not. You never know. But, it's, again, we have it. I know in Kitchener, we have it well covered. Other teams I can't speak for, but we have it well covered. And I think that, again, are we going to be flooded by Americans? I wouldn't use the word flooded. We'll have because to say we're to bring an American up that can do the job that a Canadian can do, but no better. Why are we doing that? What's the purpose? If a kid can do better, we're all for it. But if a kid's equal, he's probably not. We're probably going to go through all the expenditures and all the difficulties of bringing him in.
Right. Yeah. Andrew, how about you? Like anything that you notice or anticipate, or again, without saying anything that might be going on or not going on behind closed doors, but like anything that you're seeing from, a neutral zone point of view, like where you're covering so many kids every year in so many different leagues, do you anticipate or see anything?
Yeah,
adjusting?
I think we're going to, hopefully be expanding a lot more because of this CHL NCAA situations. It affects us greatly because we're trying to, help those major junior teams and vice versa. So we need to have that solid mix up and carry over from one country to the other. And I think we're definitely on top of that. Sorry, there's just almost another goal.
Well, you might also.
I don't mean to be distracted. It's just wild
seeing
this.
No, I'm checking online.
Yeah,
there might be another thing. There might be another thing comes in for neutral zone too. Is for colleges, major junior kids that may be Division I guys, because our goalie committed, and you're going to have more commitments. Just going to be a matter of time to have more commitments.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying about that crossover between us and Americans. I'm not saying there's a disconnect in our company between countries. We all communicate, but like now there's more communication. There has to be more involvement from both sides to have conversations about guys because of what's going on.
Yeah,
which is a great thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I wonder how much too, like leagues like the USHL, and I guess they kind of probably did this anyway, but I wonder how much more they're going to pay attention to maybe guys the lower end of major junior, like guys that could potentially getting cut. Now, I think the USHL would take those guys anyway because at the end of the day, I think they want to win games. But I also think there were some programs that did live by the, hey, we want to move guys to college. If you're not eligible, unless you're first-line guy, like we can't use you. Like we're not going to bring in a third-line guy that isn't eligible for college. We're just not going to bring you in. So I think there are some guys that live by that. But I wonder, even for those guys now, do they start paying more attention because now those guys are eligible?
Possible. Only one thing that does come into play a little bit is, remember, the Canadians are imports, and they're restricted on imports.
Do you think that rule's going to change moving forward?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, I feel like that the USHL has to change that because when you think about this with the new rule, the number of players isn't changing, right? There's just a reorder, right? Everyone's just kind of getting shuffled around, but nobody should be like down players out of this deal. They should just have theoretically they should just have different players. It should be swaps, right? Like, so if there's 8 guys that get cut from the OHL, and I'm just making teams up here, but if there's like 8 guys that get cut from the OHL and they all want to be playing for the Des Moines Buccaneers, right now the Des Moines Buccaneers can only take 6 of them. It's 6 imports, I think. Right?
Well,
so don't you think the USHL has to change something? So it's like, hey, if there's 10 guys, 10 Canadian kids that played OHL that want to play for the Des Moines Buccaneers, how do you make it so all 10 guys can play for Des Moines instead of going to play for Oakville and the OJ?
I doubt it, because for one thing, USA Hockey, there still is a relationship with, and they are protective of American players. And Glenn Heffernan said it himself. The league's 82% American. Their bread and butter is American players. Are they really going to be stung that badly amongst Americans? Probably not. They'll be stung, but not like people think. Because again, 2 of the 3 most populous hockey areas in the United States, you're going to see almost 0 going to WHL and to the QMJHL out of Minnesota and New England. So how much are they really being stung? They could just go deeper into Minnesota, and they have a lot of good hockey players in Minnesota.
Yeah, but don't you think that really hurts them? Like, let's say, for argument's sake, and again, just making up numbers here, let's say there's 100 players that get cut from CHL, right, because of this reorder and reshuffling. There's 100 players now up for grabs that have major junior experience, have played in the league. How do we get those guys in the USHL instead of those guys going to the BCHL and the BCHL getting that much better or the OJ getting that much better? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like in terms of like the chess match between the USHL and all these other leagues, don't you think, like, I feel like it would be smart for the USHL to open up the imports so they can grab these guys from major junior that might be very good USHL players instead of not only not getting them, but having them go to your competitor league.
Well, the thing is, if they're cuts, are they that amazing? Number one. Number two, it is a situation where,
like league all-stars, but like I think, like if you can grab those guys that have, that would be, everyday major junior players up until this rule change.
Well, there's another thing. Guys. Another thing people are overlooking is how many Russians do we see every weekend here in North America playing? There's tons of them. And I always say a possible replacement to the Canadian imports will be Europeans. And maybe you'll see a change in the amount of Europeans they're allowed, because they do have a certain cap on Europeans. So, again, I go out and I see Russian players every weekend playing midget, and they're good hockey players. A lot of them are really, really highly skilled players. And, man, you bring them in, they're going to be entertaining as all get out. They're highly skilled guys. And we can't accommodate that. We obviously can't accommodate that many imports. So, and we go a lot of times for imports directly from Europe. So you think about it, how much of Russia is here, right here, now?
Yeah, I mean, not much, right?
It's getting scary, actually, because, I go to some midget games, and geez, I feel like I'm watching Central Red Army in Moscow.
You're saying at the youth level?
Yeah, at the youth level.
I was thinking CHL level. Sorry, Bill.
We have teams here, and in Canada, too, but here in the United States, I sit there and I say, am I watching Moscow Dynamo, or am I watching a team from here? It's like, all the stars are Russian.
I'm 1,000% with Bill on that one. Yeah.
And Andrew, you go to rinks, and you too. In all honesty, Eric, you go down there. How often do you hear Russian being spoken as much as English? You just hear that, you hear and you're saying, "Wow."
But even to that point, though, think about this. So, by opening up the USHL imports, you could have more of these guys playing in the league, right? Like I think we're at a time now where no league could really be affording to turn away top talent if they're trying to be a top league. Like if you want to, say like, hey, listen, we're going to be, whatever we want to, we're happy moving guys Division III. That's fine. All good. Yeah. But if you like, if there's a league that's trying to fight to be in the same conversation as, the CHL or whatever, that's trying to be a Division I, they want to move their guys Division I. Don't you think they have to be doing whatever they can right now to get the best possible players in the league?
Yes and no. The problem is, remember, we both are, like the CHL is the Canadian
Christian
hockey.
Says, yeah, there are tons of Russians at the youth level.
There you go.
Yep, so.
But yes, you think about it like, you think about it again, back to what we were saying is that, it is a Canadian hockey league. We're somewhat protectionist. We have a limit on imports. We have a limit on Americans. Why? Because we have American teams. And you couldn't really have that with American teams. Now, you think about USHL. It's the United States Hockey League, which implies it's for Americans. So they have to be a little bit protectionist of American players. It just is what it is. And also, not to mention, our State Department issues and immigration issues in Canada, they're going to start really complaining if you start staffing teams. Granted, it's not professional hockey, but you still have to find visas for all these guys coming
in. Yeah, but I mean, like NCDC's doing it. Like every, Premier's doing it. EHL's doing it. The Western States League used to do it. Like these guys are all, I agree I think it's almost like two separate conversations. Like if you're running the league to be the best thing for Americans, yes. But if you're running the league trying to be the top end producer Division I talent, you might not be able to do both, right? And I'm saying like if you're going for, I just think we're in a time now like it's very interesting where I think that the USHL, I mean, I don't know. I feel like if 100 players that get cut from major junior that have like a year or two of major junior experience under their belt, like if they were all to go to the, to the OJ or the BCHL, like I think that hurts the USHL. I think that tightens the gap between those leagues, talent wise. I'm not saying in terms of what they're doing for the Americans or not doing for Americans, just in terms of overall talent. I think that's like 100 quality players that you shouldn't right off the bat be, forcing yourself to lose because of import rules.
I don't see us cutting veterans. The guys be cut with kids. It'd just be tougher for kids to make the league. Because you're not going to cut 18, 19-year-old veterans. You're going to cut the kids. It'll be tougher to make it as a rookie. And same thing down here. It'll be tough. It's rookies that have a lot of impact on. But you're not going to have tons of veteran players cut loose, nor do I see a situation where, and keep in mind, you mentioned NCDC and the EHL. They're both rebel leagues. They're not USA hockey leagues. And how many guys actually go there? I have yet to see an NCDC team that's inundated with Canadians. They may have 4 or 5 maximum. But, hey, some teams, I see more Japanese players than NCDC. I'm not kidding. They have a fair amount of Japanese players playing in that league right now. There's one agent that sends guys there. He sends them to a couple teams. So you may actually see a game where you actually have more Japanese players than Canadians.
Yeah. But I'm saying, but the immigration stays the same, whether the USA Hockey or Rebel, right? Like there's no difference from the government's eyes.
No, but from the team standpoint, for USA Hockey, it does. USA Hockey will be a little bit angry about it, just like Hockey Canada.
Yeah, I'm saying from what you mentioned before, the visa issue, when the guys coming over the border getting the visas.
But again, they only have a limit. I've yet to see a team that's all Canadian there, or a team that's majority. It's always a minority. There's always a few kids there, a few imports. We get to see NCDC team. It's not predominantly American. Same thing with the EHL.
The numbers. I think there's some, like, maybe at the tier 3 level though, there might be, like, at Old Western States League. I think there used to be. What'd you say?
Out there, maybe,
yeah. That's all. I was just trying to find other, like, examples of where it happened, like with them getting, all these guys over the border for one team.
But there's another dynamic.
If it was happening, theoretically, it could happen again.
Well, another dynamic to consider is they have no domestic players out there to bring up. No hometown boys. Now, if you're running the South Shore, let's take South Shore just for a minute, all right? If you want to encourage Boston kids to come into your organization, you better have Boston kids playing for you. If you're the Hitmen, if you aren't producing any Hitmen players, the Hitmen, you have a youth organization that's subsidizing the junior team. Same thing with all the NCDC teams, Connecticut Rangers, Mercer Chiefs, you name them. They all are subsidized largely by youth hockey. You're suddenly telling those teams, we're bringing all imports in. You're suddenly going to lose a lot of that youth bracket you live off of right now. Same thing with EHL. EHL doesn't have youth
guys
teams.
Are all ability anyway, a lot of them. I don't think there's any NCDC team that has an abundance of hometown kids.
They have some, and the problem is, and especially I'll tell you right down here, we have a very hard time getting billets. And you have a lot of New England kids playing on the New England teams, and down here, teams actually have a heck of a time getting billets. They actually can't get enough. It's really hard. So that's a big issue. Sometimes when I send a guy to NCDC team doing an advisor role, an issue is we've got to find a billet.
So what percentage? Cause you may be right, because I haven't gone through the numbers. Like what percentage of the NCDC would you say lives at home versus billets?
I think it varies team to team, and of course geography to geography. You go up to New England, you go to those Boston area teams, probably a lot more than kids down here, obviously. But at the same time, to say we have no local guys, look, I have 4 local guys on one team. They're not the only local guys in that team.
Oh,
down here in Jersey.
I would assume teams have local guys, yeah.
Wow.
But that's what I'm saying. So you said you have 4 on one team, right? And they're the only 4.
No, they're not the only 4. They aren't the only 4. That's it. No.
Oh, okay. I thought you said they're the only 4.
No. I just have 4, and I don't represent every kid on that team. It's a local boy.
Yeah.
And some NA teams, look, the Titans just recalled a number of guys to the 18s team. They're trying to promote their 18s program now. In the NA, they're trying to say, hey, our 18s program. Remember, if you're going to make money off these youth programs and tell kids you might play for the big junior team, you better have a few kids do it, or eventually kids are going to say you're a fraud and they're not going to sign with you.
Well, unfortunately, I think a lot of teams don't.
You're right.
A lot of teams don't. And here's what I think too. Like, I think it all starts also with the recruiting at the youth level, right? Like, you can't just have anybody playing in the youth program and be like, why is nobody going up to the NA team, right? Like,
that's it, exactly.
You have to have potential NA players playing in your U16 team or playing on your U18 team, or if it's the NCDC model, you have to have potential NCDC players playing on the the U16 or U18. Like, you have to. It's like a two-way street, right? Like the junior club has to work with the youth program, but the youth program has to support the junior program by bringing in the right guys, maybe even coaching similar systems, I would think, right? Like, if it was me doing it, I'd be so tempted to be like, hey, like, whatever the junior guys running at the NA level, our 18s and our 16s, you're running the same system, same power play, same PK, same everything. This way, when you get that opportunity to go up, you're ready. You're not just sitting there, like, looking around.
what you have to be careful of, exactly, and you're bringing up the exact point. They have to produce some kids up there to the big team, or else you get the fraud alert. Everybody's going to say, "Why am I playing for them?" There's a bill of goods. You're telling us you could play for the junior team, but nobody is. And at some point, it does catch up with you. On the other side of the coin, if you deliver on the promise, hey, it's different.
Yeah, for sure. And I think even with that, I think parents have to, players and parents, like, you guys have to do your homework, because just, when you see these call-ups and stuff, see how many games they're actually playing, right? See, like, that kind of stuff, right? Like, if, like, 7 kids went up from one team, but between all 7 of them, they played 9 games, it's not great, especially in the North American League. Like, you could, and I think it should be the same in the NCDC, you could dress 21 guys too, right? Like, so you can dress a whole roster plus 1 extra, and a lot of times, who do you think is the 1 extra? Right, it's the guy that's plastered on the social media as being the, the call up and everything. And even like in the North American League, like, bringing guys up to practice, there's incentives for teams to do it. Like, if you bring up X amount of guys to practice, I don't know what that, no, it might be 3 guys, I think, from like NAPHL. I think you get an extra tender, right? It's like there's incentives like that, like where sometimes kids are going out to practice, it's for no other reason than the team wants a tender.
But if we relax import limits, let's be honest about it, both leagues, you just open it up to Europeans, because there could be teams that could go with 8 Europeans very easily if they wanted to pay the money to recruit. You could bring over 6, 7, 8 Swedish players, let's just say, and it would be a fantastic addition to your team. But we do want to protect the Canadian and American kids, so we're not here to develop Swedish players. If we have some that come here and play, that's wonderful.
I agree. Well, like I was saying, it's like 2 separate conversations. Like, if it's the integrity of developing the U.S. kids, yes, 100%. Don't open the imports, right? Maybe even reduce the imports. Who cares, right? But if it's, like I was saying, strictly from the level of hockey right here, right now perspective, that's why I was saying, like, it'd be interesting to see if they opened up the imports. Like, again, 2 separate conversations, like, depending on which way you wanted to run the league.
If it was all level of hockey, we'd have no import restrictions. Simple as that. We just say, if it was all about level of hockey, we'd have we'd be like the National Hockey League. There are no import restrictions.
Right.
6-0.
What do you think? Are you zone?
Yeah.
No. I was listening to everything you were saying, but it is 6-0 with 4.5 minutes left. They scored at the 5:51, and then they didn't count that it was a goal, so they played about 3 minutes of torture, and they went back and said it was a goal, and then they put the time back on the clock. I think there's a line that we're going to see if it's going to get crossed by either side, realistically, with the import rule. I see both sides of the coin. I asked the question, but I, for one, don't think you need to change it, because I think you develop what you have in your own backyard, in your own country. And, those top guys are going to go cross over and do what they want to do. But I feel like, if you're Canadian, you're most likely going to stay there. If you're American, develop where you are. Like Bill said, it basically the NHL, there's no import rules for a level of hockey. I understand what you're saying, but I don't think anything's going to change.
Yeah, they very well might not. And like I said, I'm not saying they should change. I was saying strictly from a level of hockey point of view. Like, if their number one concern was, hey, how do we make sure that some of these other leagues don't catch us? I was saying, I think that's that's one of the ways you could do it. AJ says that's what I think Bantam teams should be. He said that's what I think some Bantam teams should be doing, running like the high school. So to move up is a little more seamless. Seems like all levels could learn from that.
Yeah. We don't really now in Europe, the system is a system where you come up in a system right up to the pro team, and you have a system where you go up every age group, and the kids often stay together. It's something that's a little bit of a different system, and it does work. There are problems if you're that 4th line guy on a team. You could be a 1st line guy somewhere else. It's a little bit more difficult to move, which isn't good. But yeah, I think it'd be nice if we had more continuity.
Yeah, and I think, what was I going to say? I had something to spin off of that. Don't remember. We're saying high school teams more seamless. Yeah, I don't remember where I was going with that. Yeah, I don't remember where I was going. Now it's gonna bug me.
It'll come back.
I'm gonna get a text message at 11:47 p.m.
I got it.
Thank God.
Yeah, no, like with the imports, I saw something interesting on, and this is something else like for people to know because like I think like heads were spinning on Facebook last week. Someone was saying that like, oh, how does my youth team have all these imports when there's import restrictions or whatever? What is that?
There's a question I ask a lot of times too, but go on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and a couple things for people to realize, like, unless something's changed, once you play 3 consecutive years in the United States, you're no longer an import for USA Hockey. So if you see some of these teams that are loaded up on imports, if the players have been there for a while, they're not considered imports. So that's one way that teams appear to have too many imports. And then the other way is native Canadians do not count as imports for USA Hockey. You can have as many of them, as many native Canadians as you want.
How does that work?
I don't know. I learned that when I was coaching junior. I was like, all right.
That's interesting.
Around this. But yeah, so yeah, native Canadians do not count as imports for USA Hockey. And then the Euros, once they spend 3 consecutive years here, they're no longer counted as imports.
And never just go by a guy's name, because some guys are actually born here.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I've seen that a number of times. You can't just go by a name.
No, of course, but yeah. So it's yeah. Now, RC was supposed to be on, unfortunately. So RC Lyke from Westchester Wolves was supposed to be on with us tonight. Leo Gould from Moncton Wildcats was supposed to be back on again tonight as well. Leo wound up going to the Boston game. And one of his old, I believe it was one of his old players is playing for Vancouver, so they're in town with Boston tonight. So Leo wound up going to the game. RC unfortunately had to take a U18 player to the hospital. I think the kid's okay, which is great. But Andrew,
I wasn't gonna say anything. I just hope the kid's okay at the end of the day.
No.
I know, but what weren't you going to say anything about?
I mean, he's scared, obviously. He doesn't want any of this smoke, which I get it. I wouldn't if I was on his side either. The Americans just scored on a power play, one-timer. Kid doesn't even seem happy. But yeah, RC's just
scored 6-1.
Yeah, the Americans scored 6-1. Yeah, RC's just nervous. I get it. I would be too if I was in his shoes. It's tough to. It's tough to stand up to the big guy. I get it. I've been there, but as the big guy, I'm looking forward to a little bit of a challenge every once in a while, and obviously he doesn't want any part of this.
So anybody that doesn't know, RC and Andrew have been communicating with each other through the podcast, and tonight was supposed to be the first time that they were on the same episode, but they've been communicating with each other through the podcast because they both think they're going to beat each other in NHL video game.
You want to rephrase that?
And we're going to find out. They both agreed to play each other. So I thought we were going to lay down the rules tonight. Unfortunately, RC couldn't make it. But I thought we were going to lay down the rules tonight in terms of which game we were playing, the game speed, because they've both agreed to make it an episode of the podcast. So we're going to broadcast it just like an NHL game, one Tuesday night. That's what we're going to do. And it's going to be interesting. I came up with a cool concept. I think somebody should be Kitchener and the other person should be Moncton. And we'll get Bill and Leo involved in this too.
There we go.
I'm in.
I think that'd be interesting.
That sounds way better than a regular game, because I mean, if we're going to play a regular game, it's going to look like this one does right now. The shots are going to be 29-14. I'm going to be winning 6-1. We do that, it might level the playing field a little bit. I like the little concept there. That's a good idea.
Yeah, we'll bring Bill back on. We'll have Leo on, and yeah, somebody will be Kitchener, somebody will be Moncton.
We gotta find a way to like get off the screen with our teams though. So like if I'm playing on Kitchener, if I'm having a bad period, I need Bill to coach me up. Give me some pointers, tell me some things.
They'll be like, oh, well, don't play the fourth line. It's got that guy on it. I told them they shouldn't have brought him in.
Yeah,
they brought him in anyway. He's terrible.
Yeah, I want Bill barking at me to dump pucks. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah. AJ says the trash talk is building this up to be epic. Don't let us down, Andrew.
AJ, you're in for one, buddy. It's gonna be a good time. I'm gonna be running my mouth the entire time I'm playing. My line mate's a pretty quiet guy. I don't think he's gonna say a word.
Oh yeah, because RC wanted to do line mates. He says his assistant coach is ridiculously good, so he wanted to know if you would agree to line mates. And then I remember when I was talking on the phone, you said that your line mate might be the only person better than you, and that you'd be happy to do line mates.
Correct. My line mate is very good at NHL. We'd probably go even 50-50-ish. Might lean towards him a little bit, but we play together online as a unit and we're just unstoppable. So, I mean, that's just going to be even worse for him. He'd have a better chance one-on-one.
I heard you guys, on a serious note, have already been logging some serious practice hours. Is that true or false?
Oh, absolutely. We've been lighting it up. Yeah. So, I mean, the longer he waits, it's just going to get worse.
Oh.
We're getting the reps in. We're getting pucks deep for Bill, and we're playing our game. We got the chemistry rolling.
You can't lose now.
Come on, let's be real. I haven't lost since NHL 06.
I should give something away
if I lose to RC or if I lose to a fan.
I don't know.
I'm not going to lose. You get whatever you want.
Should we start that? People could sign up and play against you in NHL, and if they win, they get something.
I mean, I don't have all the time in the world for this, but
mess that up.
Listen, the reps are high right now. I'm not worried about it. If Bill's coaching, I'm looking forward to it.
I was thinking about doing that at pre-draft or something, just telling everyone, hey, if you can hit a wiffle ball off me, I'll give you a year free to Scout Central.
You can't hit a wiffle ball off Swanick. That's impossible, by the way. We used to have a wiffle ball in my backyard, and it was the most frustrating thing in the world. It was wild watching him pitch. I hated it.
I was seriously thinking about doing that at pre-draft though. Hey, if you you just gotta hit one. If you can hit one wiffle ball off me,
they have a better chance of beating me in NHL than they do of hitting a wiffle ball off of you. I don't know how your arm is anymore, but it used to be lethal.
I don't know. I haven't thrown in a while.
I would say velocity, but with a wiffle ball, I don't know if you get velocity.
What is that?
Oh, he gets velocity.
Okay, velocity it is.
Yeah, the thing hums, it dips, and it's official 6-1 loss.
6-1 loss?
Yeah.
When do they play again?
Tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow?
Yeah.
What time?
All right, so probably the same time.
Oh, sorry,
what happens tomorrow if it's the same thing? If it's a 6-1 drubbing? I feel like unless NTDP...
It was the last annual CHL NCDC Cup prospects.
Yeah, but then
that's what it's gonna be.
How bad does that look? Let's just, for instance, that does happen. Let's say it's 6-1 CHL again, and then the US just doesn't want to play him again. That's a bad look. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't know either way. I mean, still have to wait on the result tomorrow, but it'd be a bad look to do that.
Round out the year 2024 for the US programs. Everyone's
I don't think
major junior, is taking USHL players. Now they might take some teams. It's at least we still got the NTDP. Boom.
I doubt they'll give it up. I really doubt it. The only thing is if it gets to a point that people don't want to come watch, then there's a problem. As long as people will come watch it, both sides.
When you say you don't think they'll give it up, you're saying you mean they won't give up this event, or they won't give up the NTDP altogether?
Either one. I think the event will
hang.
There's
rumor of that too. There's rumor of the NTDP is just gonna dissolve.
It's a rumor, but I wouldn't expect it. I mean, again, you're still those Minnesota, New England kids are going to stay at home. It's not like the United States is going to come impertinent suddenly. They'll lose some players. They're not going to be impertinent, and they have plenty of good players.
But at what point does it get not pointless? But if it's hey, if we can't get the best 17-year-olds, what are we doing? Why take most of the best, or half of the best 17-year-olds, and then whoever, and then you know what I'm saying? At what point is it hey, we're like, yeah, we'll always be able to field a team. We'll always be able to field a really good team. But at what point is it like, hey, if we can't get, like 85% of the best, if our recruitment rate is under 85%, this isn't worth it anymore. It's not worth the money. It's not worth the time. These kids aren't playing for a national team anyway because, they play in the NCDP. And then when push comes to shove and we go to the U20 tournament, we're taking all these other guys anyway. So we're not even really developing the national team at that point. Like, at what point does it get to be just like, hey, this isn't, working out?
It may, but at the same time, also got to figure
But what do you think
right
the
now.
threshold is?
Well, right now we can sit there and ask a question too. Do they really take the best? Because I don't think there is the best 20. I think the difference between that bottom,
of course not, but
top
the
10 that are cut
percentage
isn't
is
much.
high.
Yeah, they'll still, again, I think the cutoff point would be if it reached a point of impertinence. Now it's pertinent in this respect that it still prepares the U18 championships, world championships. And it's still a team that's very viable for that. And in all honesty, if it wasn't for that team, then the Americans would have a real problem at that tournament possibly. Because suddenly you're in a scenario of pot luck, picking up who's not in the playoffs, who's open to pick up, and your player pool is significantly diminished. Right now, the American team is pretty strong there because they have that continuity.
Well, we thought that today.
Different opponent, though. Not a bunch of 18-year-olds here you're playing against. Not a bunch of young kids. And also remember, Canada, ICE is on that tournament. It's really a B or C team because a lot of the best players are in the playoffs. And, and the Europeans, some of them, their players are playing in the pro leagues. Because remember, some Europeans play pro hockey at 16.
Yeah. Also, every year, some of the top Americans just don't even go to the program just because they want to go play USHL or do something else. And I understand, but I think the program is missing a few of the top guys every single year.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I just wonder how many is too many, right? It's like we know they're going to miss a certain amount every year, but if that number increases past, it's like, what's the threshold? Like, okay, once like this number, like, okay, we're going to miss the top however many, but that's okay, but we cannot miss this many. If we miss this many, it's like, why bother?
Well, again,
that's what I'm just wondering, like, what that threshold is.
Go ahead, Bill.
Well, again, a big issue is talking to the guys at neutral zone. You guys have guys up in New England. They'll tell you there's some good New Englanders cut by that team each year. Yeah. So now they'll bring those kids in. They're damn good players. And same thing with Minnesotans. Ask any Minnesotan. A lot of Minnesotans, I say, what's wrong with you guys? The team should be 100% from Minnesota. And so, how many guys are you missing from there? They're good players that can come in and replace. They won't be the top guys, some of those top line guys.
Right.
No,
100%. But that's what I'm asking. Like, how many of those second, I don't mean how it's going to sound, but how many of those second-class players do you have to take before it's like, hey, this is a second-class team and not what we designed it for and not worth it anymore?
I think what Bill's saying is there's that small gap between.
No, I agree. It is a small, yeah.
So I mean I feel like it'd be a very large threshold of missing guys, which I don't think they're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. It's like, how many of those gap players do they have to take? So you think it'd have to be like to the point where they're missing most of the top talent?
Well, I'm just starting to think right now.
Like they have to be like you're saying that you think that they would have to get pretty far down the well for impact in in significancy of size or whatever, where it's like, hey, this isn't worth it.
Well, you look at the team that's out there right now. It's not majority guys outside of New England and Minnesota. Minnesota and New England make up an awful lot of that team.
Yeah.
And,
they're not going to. That's what I'm saying. Like, how many of those guys have to leave before you.
They won't leave the New England.
Bill's saying they're not leaving.
No, Minnesota, New England.
And they might not. They might not. Like, that's. I'm not saying they are or aren't. I'm saying, like, what would be that threshold?
I think it had to be traumatic.
I'm just wondering, like how deep down the well would they have to go before it's, because there's rumors of it not happening anymore, right? So that's what I'm just asking of, like, what do you, like, in your opinion, what do you think that number is that contributes to it?
If those rumors are true, they definitely accelerated tonight.
True. And you can argue the whole program started in the beginning to keep guys going for the CHL, but I think it has evolved into something more than that now. It is a little bit more than that. And so,
Yeah.
I think it would have to be a traumatic shift to losing guys. And, do I see that when I use the word traumatic, that team starting to lose the international tournaments and starting to become bad there?
Yeah.
I don't see that happening.
It's all about representing your country.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
You get to wear that USA in your chest. Like that's a big deal to a lot of guys. Like I never had the opportunity to do that, but if I had the opportunity, like that's a dream come true.
Yeah, there'll always be guys that want to play in it. I just wonder, I just
they're going to. They will lose guys,
what
but
that exit looks like to the CHL.
Well, at the same time, they're going to lose guys.
Be insignificant.
I wouldn't use the word insignificant, but it won't be necessary. I'd say it will be somewhere between insignificant and traumatic. It's not going to be either.
Yeah. No, it makes
And again,
sense.
when I look at guys for this year's draft, a lot of the top guys, if they get that national team offer, they're going to go there. And remember, the options are wide open. After 2 years, even after 1 year, they can leave there and come to us. We have to pay a fee if they come up, but of course we could do it. And at 18, they certainly after 2 years they could come up. It's not like they're putting their CHL career out of the way. They're just putting it on hold.
Yeah.
Guys already do
I don't like
that.
that word, putting something on hold.
I
always tell players you don't put anything on hold for anybody. Like I always tell players like you run 100 miles an hour forward, like you got to do what you got to do.
It's not really on hold though. Like you're still playing for one of the top programs in North America.
I understand what Bill's saying. Like,
and you're developing. It's like your National Hockey League career is on hold playing in the American Hockey League.
Right, so involuntary hold.
Developmental is hold. Like some Europeans will say, I'll stay in Sweden another year to develop, then I'll come over maybe after some major event or something. And but they're developing the Swedish league's tremendous. It's not like you're not developing, staying there an extra year or two.
No, of course. Of course. I just view it as if you could develop somewhere better.
Sometimes though, if you wait, sometimes there's an argument to wait a year or two though, because then you come in like a rocket sled on rails when you come into the league, as opposed to struggling a little bit because you're just not quite as mature.
There's no point. Yeah, you don't want to be a struggle guy anywhere, really. Like in my mind, if you're struggling, you could be at the, I guess it depends on the kind of struggle and the situation, but you could be at the wrong level if you're struggling.
Yeah. I think Bill's right though. You're getting that development. You're coming in the league at a more mature, skilled player rather than going in as a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, getting absolutely pummeled every night, losing so much confidence. It's just going to ruin you even more.
Yeah. Like for sure. Yeah. If you're not ready for it, like you gotta go somewhere where you're gonna play well and be an impact guy. Yeah. And then like you come back 2 years later. Yeah. We'd hope you'd be more developed. Like if you're not more developed, something went severely wrong.
Yeah.
It's but yeah, no, it's all very, very interesting. We're coming up on an hour already. So if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, or Bill, compliments, right? Figured out a couple weeks ago, we take compliments.
I have a question. What's going to happen tomorrow at 7 o'clock?
I wasn't done. Put it in the chat.
Oh, sorry. I got excited. I don't know how to do that.
Right,
what do you think is going to happen tomorrow night?
I'm going to go with the CHL, but I'm going to go with a closer game.
I was going to say like the NTDP is going to win like 4-3 or something. And it's going to be a way closer game. I'm going
to say 3-2 or 4-2 CHL.
These things are so unpredictable. I don't like to make a prediction. It's so unpredictable. I think it, by all logical sense, it should be a closer game. Let's put it that way. But then again, let's not go by logical sense. It could be another one-sided thing. You don't know.
They're also kids. It could be a blowout one way or the other.
Yeah.
And you could have overconfident.
I think the U.S. will respond well. And maybe that's part of where being a team comes in, like they're probably going to do video and all this other stuff, and maybe that's probably where being a team comes in. I think they respond well, but I say CHL wins 3-2 or 4-2.
A lot of it will be confidence. Does the CHL get overconfident? Does the US team get underconfident? That could play a big role too.
I mean, just from body language, watching the last 5 minutes of that game, the Canadians were just out for a skate, having a great time. They were zooming in on the bench like they're laughing, having a grand old time. And then the Americans scored that goal, and the kid goes back to the bench, and he's pissed, and like he's barking at his teammates. Like
the CHL kid?
No, the American kids are barking at each other. Well, they're not barking at each other. Just the body language it looked like on the screen as the kid went back, he scored. He's unhappy at how the game went, obviously.
Yeah.
But the Canadian kids were playing pond hockey, having a grand old time.
Yeah.
There's a pressure.
I'm committing to a number. I'm saying 4-2 CHL tomorrow. And I'm strategically doing that because that gives me my 3-2, but then maybe they hit the empty netter. So I'm going 4-2 because that could mean 3-2 with an empty netter, or that could mean actual 4-2. But I'm going 4-2.
4-3 Americans.
You're going 4-3 Americans. Bill, you don't want to throw out a number?
No, because I think it's something that's so hard to say, because you can also take, besides confidence, you can take intimidation, frustration, you could take panic, you could take a lot of, and the pressure too.
All that in. I got 4-2.
Well, the question again is pressure to how the Americans respond to the pressure. That's a good question. They're young. It could go. A lot of things can. There's so many factors. It's and again in junior hockey. That's these are junior hockey. They're so unpredictable.
Yeah, I'm going 4-2.
It's definitely a fun discussion to have either way.
Yeah, maybe it'll be an unpredictable bag skate.
Look. It could.
That's the
go.
collapse of the program. Everybody quits, and that's how the program ended. A bag skate after a 6-1 CHL win.
It would be a rather odd event.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be crazy.
I know. I said this earlier, and you don't say this very often when you lose 6-1, but the U.S. goalie made some massive saves and looked like he played pretty well. Just no one else was there to pick it up, unfortunately. You have games like that. Your goalie plays lights out and you can't win.
Yeah.
And that's tough when you can't win at least a good game by your goalie.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I mean, I know statistically it probably doesn't look like it was a good game, but I mean, I'm not a huge judge of goaltenders, honestly, but he was making big save after big save, and they just couldn't keep the puck out of that. Secondary chances. The Canadian, some of the Canadian kids just look bigger, stronger, and more manly, I guess would be the word.
Yeah, so they were just like every 30 area.
And I don't know, this is a guess, that some of the Canadians, some of the CHL are 06s, I'm assuming.
I haven't looked at the roster, but it's possible.
I would guess but it's all the same draft year, so at the end of the day, what does it matter?
Yeah.
They're trying to make it more or less a draft prospect thing.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a big issue, but it's a matter of, now, the thing is, I just think you look at it, certainly the physical thing that plays a big role on kids. You're not used to the same style. You're not used to the same situation that you're playing against a team that's a little bit bigger and nastier, and that can play a role too.
But these kids are playing in the USHL. I looked at their record earlier. I think they're like 3-8 maybe, or something like that. Like they're 3-11. They don't have a great record against, but they're playing against bigger, older kids.
Right.
Like I feel like
age.
Yeah. I feel like you should have been prepared for a situation like this. Again, you come out flat, and the Canadians just capitalize. I don't know what the situation is, but I think that they should have been tuned up for this, and they had one quarter, third of a season or whatever to prepare for a situation like this, and it just didn't work out tonight.
Yeah.
Well, especially the chemistry issue. I mean, it's a huge thing. I mean, the CHL team is not a team. They're just it's all-stars, and it's always different.
But I will.
Interesting to see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, I will tell you this for sure. When I'm the Kitchener Rangers and I'm playing the Moncton Wildcats, me and my team are going to dominate. We're going to get pucks deep.
You're going to be Kitchener.
I mean, whoever I am, I'm on Bill's side right now because he's with me, and Leo is he chickened out to go see one of his old guys. Just fair. But Bill's here right now. So when I'm the Kitchener Rangers, we're gonna dominate. We're gonna get pucks deep. We're gonna bang bodies. We play simple hockey. We're gonna put pucks in the back of the net.
See.
Yeah, I see.
Unless my coach has a different game plan and wants us to attack in a different way.
Have to scout RC.
Yeah, we'll get something going for sure.
Well, yeah, that's great. That's great. Before we wrap up, the performance pass. So for performance pass tonight, everybody, the point unlock code is Friendsgiving with a capital F, and in order to claim the Friendsgiving token, you'll have to do the point unlock code first. You get your 500. Normally for the podcast, it's 500 points. Tonight, it's 501 points. That one extra point is what's going to allow you to claim the Friendsgiving token on Performance Pass. So unlock the points first, then go claim the token, because you're also going to need to claim the Friendsgiving episode points to unlock to claim the Friendsgiving token. So the way it's set up, it's this way somebody can't go into Performance Pass tomorrow and just go claim the Friendsgiving token. They need the points they need this episode's point unlock code. So it's a way to make sure that only the people that are here tonight are able to claim the token. And if you need help with any of it, just contact me. You can contact me through the Facebook group. You can contact me through the Discord. If you need help setting up a wallet or connecting it to the swanhockey.io site. And but yeah, if you're interested in Web3 stuff at all, get that done, because that token claim will be over at midnight tonight. And then again, you're going to want that token in your wallet, because that is almost like your proof of attendance for this Friendsgiving event. And there's stuff that we can do in the future that can go back to this, where again, that token will live in your blockchain wallet. And let's say we're doing something next year at Friendsgiving or whatever, and we're doing something for everybody that came to everybody was a part of the first one, right? We're able to do that and track that through the token. So, and again, the token's a digital asset. You own it. It's yours. If you don't want it, you can sell it to somebody else, right? So if we're doing something that is based off of that token in the future, right? If there's somebody that desperately wants to do whatever it is that we might be doing and you don't want to do it, you can sell your token to that person and you name your price. It's yours. It's your token. It's your reward. It's yours. So that's all, because we're using the blockchain to do this stuff. So if anybody needs help with it, just reach out. But I strongly suggest that you do claim that token tonight. The point unlock code is Friendsgiving. And then even for the, it's Friendsgiving for everything tonight. So with a capital F, AJ says we should do an Andrew and RC face-off token.
In. I don't even know what that means exactly, but I'm in.
We can do it. We can make that happen. We can make that happen. We can make that happen.
If you're wondering, I'm going to be just like the French kid tonight that was like 9 for 11 on draws in the first two periods. So I'm going to snap that thing back.
Bill, go get a good centerman.
There you go.
We're gonna have Phil's gonna be making trades. We're gonna have RC tampering with Bill's roster in real life.
Yeah, Patrice Bergeron out
retire.
Perfect.
What'd you say?
Bergeron's just got to hand a birth certificate that says I am 12, and he'll be fitting right in.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. RC's gonna be recruiting the Kitchener Ranger players to go to Wildcats in real life.
Just for one digital game.
Yeah. We'll have to come up with some kind of cool token for that. So we'll have to try to come up with something. But all right, yeah, that is a wrap. So thanks for hanging out with us tonight, guys. It was fun. This was a different
Great
podcast,
Friendsgiving.
just more just kind
Great
of
stuff.
went with it. We didn't really prepare much of anything. But no, it was us sitting at Thanksgiving table, just having conversation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was awesome. Andrew, Bill, thank you both as always.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
And sure we'll
Thanks
be
for having us,
seeing, yeah, I'm sure we'll be seeing both of you again soon. Bill's become a constant.
Love it.
Yeah, and yeah, everybody have a great and safe Thanksgiving. If you're Canadian, have a great Thursday. It's only our Thanksgiving. Theirs is like
Have a
month
great
ago.
Thursday.
Have a great Thursday. Don't call me. But yeah, their Thanksgiving was like a month ago. I remember when I was billeting in Canada one year, I think it was the year I had an American roommate. Like, we're the only two Americans on the team. We're up there, and like I'm having like a playful argument with the billet mom of like, whose Thanksgiving's better, the Americans or the U.S. And she's like, oh, ours is better. You know it. She's like, that's why she's like, the Pilgrims came here first. That's why ours is first, because they came here first. So, you know, ours is better. I'm just like, yeah, they came there first and then they picked up and left. They came to us. Like, ours is better because we're second. Like, they came and stayed. But I
respect our Canadians very much. You know, they keep our head warm as a country, but our Thanksgiving is hands down way better.
Yeah, I love our Thanksgiving. I'm one of those people. Thanksgiving for me, like Christmas is on. Like, as soon as it's Thanksgiving, like next 4 weeks or whatever it is, like Christmas starts as soon as Thanksgiving hits.
Yeah, I'm also going to eat myself into a coma on Thursday.
Yeah, that's great when you just accept defeat and you're just just one of those days.
Yep.
Except for when you overdo it in the morning, like first thing, it's like
you get too excited. Yeah, I've been there.
12 slices of French toast with chocolate milk, and then your day's just
ruined. Yeah, because dinner's at 2:00. You eat too big of a breakfast, you're cooked.
Oh, yeah, or like when you're laying on the couch watching TV, waiting for dinner, just going like this, like the chocolate candies, bowl for like 3 straight hours.
Yeah, it's a good disaster.
Yeah, oh, it's so good. I think the turkey is like my least favorite part.
I agree 1,000%. Turkey is so overrated. I think we're having chicken parm this year.
I'm good.
The thing about turkey is it's great, but then the leftovers after a while, after about 3-4 days, suddenly it's this is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like when you start like getting to the bottom of them, or like you're like left with the leftovers that like you didn't want to eat the first 4 days. So it's the stuff that it's kind of like, all right, like I don't really like this, but it's like kind of like it. It's like it's like, oh, what is it? Green bean casserole. All right, well, I think I see some mashed potatoes smeared on those somewhere. Like that'll work. It's like the same thing with the Christmas cookies. Like, like you get the big jar of Christmas cookies, or by like the third day, it's like, I don't like these cookies. It's still a cookie though. So
still Christmas too. I'm gonna eat these.
Yeah, like I ate all chocolate chips, I ate all the other ones. Like it's like, all right, I don't even know what this is, but it's in a cookie jar. I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, normally like daily basis, I eat a ton of meat. Thanksgiving, I'm good without the meat. I just want the stuff. But
after a while, it's just like turkey is just it's great, but hey, after a while, there's too much of a good thing.
Yeah. No, just
and especially that if you get the big turkey, then you're stuck with it for at least the next 7 days. And that's
at
like
least.
No.
Yeah. I don't mind. So I'm not the biggest fan of turkey out of the gates, but leftover turkey later in the day when you make sandwiches, that's a game changer. But only once. Like the next day, it's like, after that.
Like the turkey.
That's me.
What do you say?
That's me. Same thing. There's sandwiches that night, and maybe lunch the next day. After that, it's like, okay, enough is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you're like, like for me, like I'll eat all the carbs, and then like at a certain point, like where your body's just telling you like you need protein. Like you can't just keep eating mashed potatoes, and macaroni and cheese and whatever. Like you need like that's kind of like, all right, I'll have a little bit of turkey, refuel, and it's like, all right, back to the crap.
I have a goal this year for Thanksgiving. So every year, I try to eat myself into submission.
Okay.
Now, my kid throws up on me all the time.
Oh.
My goal is to eat so much,
Then you
I'm going to
throw
throw up on him. I'm going to let him know. Oh, man. Just send a power message, right?
Even is even.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
just handing him back to Ritz. He looks like flubber. Just covered in green.
What happened to him? I don't know.
He's dripping.
He'll still have a smile on his face. He won't
Looks
care.
like a moldy gingerbread man.
Oh, man. He'll still have to laugh and come puke on me later in the day, probably. But
Oh, yeah, that's funny. Oh, yeah. Now I'm really looking forward to the food.
the Thursday's gonna be a great day.
And
Oh, yeah.
eggnog. I love eggnog.
Oh, that's great. Eggnog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except you can overdo it on that too. Like, like drink 1,500 calories of that in 10 minutes. And then you get sick.
Indigestion, yeah.
Yeah. Jeez.
Well, that's the thing with too much turkey, will just knock you out. You'll just be asleep.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It's the best nap of the year, right? That and Christmas Day nap is the best nap of the year. You eat too much. I don't know about anyone else. I personally, I can't lay on a couch or sit on a chair physically after Thanksgiving dinner. I need to be flat on the floor, whether it be a carpet or hardwood. It doesn't matter. I need to be able to sprawl out and make the noise every couple minutes.
Yeah,
I make do with any piece of furniture.
I'm usually good on the chair. I'm usually good like on the some kind of recliner on the couch, like something cushiony.
Yeah.
I'm usually good. I usually don't have to be flat. But like that last 10-minute battle at dinner where you're just kind of like, all right, I just can't wait for everybody else to be done because I need to sit down. I need to lay down. I can't sit here any longer. But during that 10 minutes, I'm usually still eating, which is bad.
Yeah, of course. You don't want to be the first one done.
No, if it's there, I'll eat it.
And we don't. I don't pace myself like you said about the eating beforehand. Like even at dinner, I'm just hawking it down.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's no pace. It's actually incredible.
I don't suggest it. But
what is that?
I don't suggest doing how I operate the Thanksgiving, but
no,
listen, I'm a third line guy. I got to eat like a grinder.
Grind, we will. Oh,
it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, exactly. I say this, but if Bill, if you're my coach, I ate nothing but lean meat, and I'm prepared for my NHL game.
Important.
Yeah. Diet's on point. I'm not, I'm straight edge. I'm ready to roll.
No swollen fingers.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Waterlogged fingers. Oh, I love it. Now you got me thinking about food.
Yeah, we just went off for the last 20 minutes about Thanksgiving dinner. I wasn't hungry. I kind of am hungry now.
I know.
And worst time to eat.
I kind of want.
Yeah, the worst time. Absolutely. I'm going to eat too much. I'm going to go to bed. I'm just going to be dead. Hopefully getting sleep.
Not to mention you hit the scale the next day. Suddenly it's ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look down at your stomach. You can't even see the scale.
I feel like I'm retaining water.
Gained 40 pounds in a week. What was it? Was that
Santa Claus?
Yeah. What was the number? Was it 40?
Yeah.
I shave, and in the morning I look like this.
Yes.
Oh, I love that movie. Phil, when's the last time you seen Santa Claus? The Santa Claus movie.
Probably last Christmas.
Oh, I've already watched it 3 times.
Actually, I've been pretty good about the weight thing. I keep my weight down pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get some of my old girlfriends, where suddenly I'm putting on 2 pounds. It's panic time.
Yeah, that movie's so much funnier as an adult.
Yep.
There's so many hilarious lines. All right, yeah, let's I guess we'll call it here. Yeah, everybody have a great and happy and healthy Thanksgiving, and we will be right back at it next Tuesday. And yeah, again, if anybody needs help with Performance Pass, just let me know. But if you have any interest in the Web3 side of this at all, go claim that token. Yeah, everybody have a great night. Bill, Andrew, happy Thanksgiving. I'm sure
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Both
Happy
beforehand.
Thanksgiving, guys. Yeah, and everybody out there.
Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Everyone have a happy, safe, healthy Thanksgiving to you and your family and your friends. And I will see you guys next week. Everyone have a great night.
Same guys.
See ya.